Hello, my name is Glenn Dyer, and you were watching a Dyer-Situation. Today, I'm seeing Krampus. God damn Krampus. It's because of movies like this that I hate the world. But, believe it or not, I was excited, because I was like, whoa! It's gonna be some horror movie, but it's set at Christmas, so there's gonna be, like, children getting fucking murdered. It's gonna be great! It's gonna be awesome! It's PG-13. Okay, some kids are gonna be slightly annoyed. So yeah, that's pretty much my full feelings on it. And sadly, this thing happens to be based, at least in name, on some sort of European myth thing that is connected to Santa Claus. So the internet's been posting a bunch of stuff about it, and now the movie's gonna make a ton of money whether it's actually good or not. And you know, it's a horror movie at Christmas, and us kids these days don't know any good horror movies set in Christmas. Not like fucking... So yeah, I just got the feeling this is kinda going to blow. Yeah. Boy, did I underestimate this. For one thing, once again, fuck you trailers, it was advertised as a straight horror film, and, you know, I'm used to all this Blumhouse crap that just gets spewed out every month, and it's just watered down, not scary horror films. And so when I saw that this was a horror film rated PG-13, I just got upset about it. What I didn't consider was the fact that this movie is, even though it wasn't advertised that way, is a black comedy. Like, no question about it. Like, with the Visit, it was actually kind of in question whether it was just incompetent or if it was being purposely funny. This movie, no, it was. For instance, when the extended family arrives in their big Hummer, the entire house shakes from the vibrations from it. And, like, the movie opens on, like, pleasant Christmas music over imagery of Black Friday, like, mobs and, like, trampling people and stuff. So I didn't even think it would go from that aspect, even though it seems a little obvious in hindsight, because I'm like, well, yeah, I guess it is like a Christmas-themed horror movie. But, you know, that's not how it was advertising itself. So maybe you'll be disappointed if you were expecting something like that. Although, personally, I'm glad, because PG-13 horror film is lame. PG-13 comedic horror film, that's okay. Yeah, I do have a few problems with it, though. Well, for one thing, the costume design in this, for the most part, is pretty cool looking. Especially the design of, like, Krampus's minions is pretty decent. But there's some that are, just a little too cheap. Like, he has, like, gingerbread minions, like, gingerbread men minions, and they look like cheap CGI, probably because they are, and it was really distracting and kind of breaking the mood. And Krampus himself had an awesome design. I mean, he had huge horns, he had, like, frickin' massive-ass goat feet, and he was all hunched and, like, monstery. But towards the end of the movie, they kept on showing his face, and his face looked like a cheap Halloween mask. Possibly because it was a cheap Halloween mask, though they weren't acting like it was a cheap Halloween mask. Like, including the fact that the mouth is always open. But it was kind of made to look like his real face, so it was distracting. Just because his mouth was open the entire time, like that. And, yeah, it was odd. But it was enjoyable in a weird sense. It didn't drag at all. It went along at a nice, smooth pace. There was some funny moments in there. For instance, the grandma's from some random European country, and she's kind of got the Star Wars thing going on, where she just talks in her native language the entire time, even though she can perfectly understand English, and everyone else can perfectly understand her. So, yeah, it's like everyone has a freaking babblefish in their ear and can just understand her. It's crazy. That's like Boomhauer, that's like Kenny kind of comedy. Even though she can't speak English, which they point out at one point, because when she has to give the backstory, which was... The backstory of Krampus was done actually really well. Like, it was an animated CGI kind of sequence, but it looked pretty damn cool. And also, the exposition they gave us was realistic, which was appreciated. I can't believe that in a movie like this, exposition is realistic, but in every single Blumhouse film, it's always spouted out by someone who really shouldn't know that much about it. Like, for instance, like, she tells her of her particular experience with it, but that's it. Because she wouldn't know anything else about it, except her personal experience. So when they're asking her, how do we stop it? She just goes, oh. Who would know? But if this were a Blumhouse picture, she'd go, yes, the only chance you have is if you stab it through the eye. Or something like... Yeah, Blumhouse has ruined the world. But thank goodness for small treasures like Krampus. Didn't expect myself to say that. Yeah, it was enjoyable. And until next time, I'm Glenn Dyer, and you have been watching A Dyer-Situation.